Welcome back to the Comp Closet podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Sarah Moore, and today we are joined by a competitor and a mum who has been through an incredibly inspiring transformation. Sophie Hull, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to hear all of your tips and your journey as well. So let's start with what inspired you to step on the stage for the first time.
To be honest, I started training in the gym a good 7 or 8 years before I actually stepped on stage. I always had the inkling, I always had the feeling, but I never felt good enough. And I just felt like I was never going to look like one of those girls. And yeah, I think for me, there was just a long time of just learning and building and just enjoying training. I started powerlifting. And that's actually when I learned how to diet properly. Like I'd lost weight. Like I started my fitness journey at about 100 kilos. So I was quite overweight. I'm only like 5'2" and a bit. So I'm only short. But it was really like powerlifting taught me how to diet because I was like, well, taught me how to diet like an athlete, right? Because I wanted to drop weight for a weight class and compete in a lower weight class. And that's when I realized like maybe I could do this bodybuilding thing. Like maybe I could give that a go. Like I nailed the prep and I dropped the weight and I started to see the muscle that I'd built over the last 7 or 8 years because I didn't realize how muscular I was. I'm like, I would say like a high responder. So for me, like, yeah, I just didn't realize how much muscle I had until I started dropping the weight. And then everyone was like, you need to get on stage. And I started my first prep the day after I turned 30, after my birthday. That was my first prep. And then I went from there. So yeah.
Amazing. And then tell me about what your first comp was like. Was it what you expected and what did it teach you?
It was amazing. Honestly, I had a breezy prep because, I didn't know what to expect. But I think what it taught me the most was how far I could push myself, how far I could push, like, where were my limits? I thought I'd already met my limits. And then I went further and then I was like, oh, the limit's not there yet. We haven't met the limit yet. I can do more. I can do more. I can get better. And then I was like, I had this moment. I was like, the limit does not exist. And it's true, it doesn't exist. And that's when I realized like how much further I could push myself. And then the second I stepped on stage, I was in love. I was like, I need to do this again and again and again. And I'm going to keep doing this for the rest of my life. I knew straight away, yeah,
I
that it
love
was for
that.
me.
Can you walk me through like what that first show was and then what shows you've done since then? Because I know you've had a big improvement season as well since your last show.
Yeah, so my first show was 2018. It was the VIX qualifier for the Arnolds that year. And I went into that show. Look, I look back, I was pretty soft, but I had no idea what I was doing. I was stepping into IFBB figure as a natural athlete with no fucking clue what I was doing. And I thought I was just going to walk away with a pro card. You know, I was very naive, but it was an amazing show. I had just had so much fun. And I loved it. And then 3 weeks later, I did the Arnolds. So it was a huge goal of mine to do the Arnolds. Having no idea about any federation, I picked the Arnolds because I attended the Arnolds. I worked at the Arnolds once, and that was the first time I saw a bodybuilding show. And I was like, oh my God, I need to do that. And I set that goal the year prior to get on the Arnold stage 365 days later. And that's what I did. I came like eighth or something in like open open figure, which I think was pretty good for like there was like 20 girls up there. And I
Yeah.
was super naive. I had no idea what I was up against. I was soft, like my body didn't look the way that it does now. And I have put a lot of muscle on since then. But I was also very muscular for someone who was their first show because I spent 8 years before that training hard, doing powerlifting, lifting heavy, and just training like an athlete for 8 years before I stepped on stage, which I think a lot of girls make that mistake of training for 2 or 3 months and thinking they could do a bikini comp, which you can, but you know, you know what it's like. I just think we need a little bit more time under the bar before we can earn that right. But I also do believe that competing is for everyone, and that anyone can do it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a
100%.
fantastic show. I did love it so much.
Yeah, I think people underestimate like how little muscle you have when you actually lose that body fat for the first time, when you've never gotten stage lean before. Like you just get tiny. You never
So
know.
tiny.
Yeah, unless you have that good foundation of training like you obviously had. I think, yeah, people would be surprised about how little muscle they actually have when they
Yeah.
lose the
A
body
lot
fat.
of the figure girls, we're 52, 53 kilos. Like, we're not that, like, we're not that big.
Mm.
I think the difference is just muscle density. I mean, obviously, like, height plays a big part in like what you weigh, but a lot of it is just muscle density, shape. It's just different, and the condition's different. But that first time on stage, I think I was 55 kilos or something like that, and I was so tiny, but I was still super soft. I still had probably a good 3 4 more kilos to go before I was really in proper stage condition. And nowadays when I get on stage a lot leaner, my body weight is a good 5 kilos heavier, so, but it's also taken 15 years to put on that muscle. It's not something that happened overnight. And I took a lot of time off, intense training during lockdown when I was pregnant. I had my son, and I went back on stage. It was just over a year old the first time I got back on stage.
Wow,
Yeah. And I'd
amazing.
lost a lot of muscle. I could see the big difference in, because of the training intensity was lower in that
Yeah.
12 months prior. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And if you think back to the version of you from before you started training for bodybuilding, before you decided to do a prep, if she could see you now, what do you think she would say?
She wouldn't even believe it. She wouldn't even believe it was me. Yeah. She honestly would just not, it wasn't even on the cards back then. Like when I first started training, I was pushing triple digits, and I was like, I just need to do something because I can't see triple digits on the scale. Like, and that mentally was a big light switch moment for me. And that's what sort of got me into health and fitness first. I didn't even go into a gym. It took me 2 years to get into a gym. And then I got into a gym, and it took me another year to get into the weights room because I didn't have anyone to help me. It was all just like, I'll just go and see what that's like. And, I was just so nervous that I was going to do something wrong and people were going to look at me. And I was a lot of gym anxiety, a lot of I'm not good enough. So yeah, it took a long time to get there. So I honestly, I don't think she would believe you that I exist. Yeah, she would be very impressed, but
And what does a realistic day in your life look like for you now as a mum, but still someone who's obviously training for comps?
pretty simple. Like I don't go out. I'm super boring. I'm in bed early. My partner hates it. He's like, "Can you just stay up?" I'm like, "No, I'm tired." I'm up early in the morning. I usually, because I have an online coaching business, and then I also work as a PT, and then I also have a toddler. So I usually get up quite early in the morning, do a lot of online work, head to the gym, train clients, train myself, come home in the afternoon, more online work, pick my son up. It's very basic. Just, I love it though. I really do thrive off that routine and just enjoying that. And then weekends, it's usually just family time. My partner and I will go and train at a different gym on Saturdays, and we train together. We have that time together. Maybe we'll have, I would we would have like I would say cheat meal, but we make our own. So we have what we call fake away, where we might make something nice, but it's usually from home, not like going out much. But it's just because we're both homebodies and we just really enjoy just our own company in our own home. Like very
Yeah.
different lifestyle to me 15 years ago. But yeah, I like being boring. Like,
Yeah, me
I
too.
don't
It
know,
really is a lifestyle, right? And then it also
such a
makes that
lifestyle.
transition into a prep so much easier and so much more sustainable when you're already living that lifestyle and you're literally just doing like a little bit more output and a little bit less food.
Exactly. Yeah. When you don't have to change too much, like, but I think that's also something that's come over the years. Like in the
Mhm.
beginning, I would go out and party after shows, and I would eat and I would drink, and it would be, a celebration, which it still is. I still, like, if my clients compete, I'll take them out for dinner. We always go do something nice. Like, we still celebrate, but it's not like months long. I mean, I guess that comes with age as well and comes with maturity. But yeah, no, I just really enjoy the lifestyle, like, so much more. Slow pace, just bring everything down a notch, small tight circle of friends. I always have like quite a large circle. I'm a very social person, and I give my energy to a lot of people. And I've found over the years that can be a little draining, especially when you don't get that energy back. So I'm just more selective of my circle of friends, and who I give my time to, who I give my energy to, especially in prep. In prep, you need to be surrounded by the right people, and it is so important that you have that support network. Otherwise, it just won't work. Like if your partner is against you, you can't prep. If your family's against you, you know, you need to sort of mitigate that and like, maybe it sounds terrible, but not spend so much time with people that are not going to be able to uplift you and support you during those times. So I guess just over the years, I've built that circle around me 24/7. Like my partner, he understands. He will be like, yep, babe, I'll take the kid, you go to the gym. Get your cardio in, you know, whatever. Like whatever it is, he'll just jump in and help out whenever it's needed because he understands it on a deep level because he's been competing for, I would say, I don't know how he's way more experienced than me, probably 20 years in the gym.
Wow.
Actually longer than that. He's been in the gym for and been competing for. So he's well understands the level of commitment and dedication that it takes. And like I said, building that support network around you is just so important during prep.
Absolutely. And then when you're in a prep and you're, feeling really fatigued, how do you decide when to push harder versus when to pull back in a prep?
I think a lot of that is relationship with your coach and talking to your coach about those things because in prep, we often make poor decisions. I'm the kind of person that I will just keep going hammer and tong, hammer and tong, hammer and tong, more. And then I have to rely on someone else to tell me to pull back. But I think that's why you have that relationship with your coach and you're open and you talk to your coach about those kind of things, about your recovery, your sleep, how your body's feeling, but also how your mind is feeling because prep's a mind game. We think it's a physical game, but it's a mental game. And if your mindset is not on, then your prep is off as well. So, yeah, I think it's best to talk to your coach whenever you start to feel anything triggering you, whether it's physical or mental, or it's recovery or it's injury, because injury management during prep is also a huge thing for me. Because if you get injured 6 weeks out from your comp, you've stuffed the whole thing, you
Hmm.
know? So mitigating risks in the gym, not doing stupid heavy deadlifts, stuff like that. And I'm a power lifter. I'm very much for stupid heavy deadlifts, but not 6 weeks out from your comp, you know? So yeah,
Yeah,
just
so
trying to,
true. Are there any physical red flags that you personally look out for? And like, how would you adjust on a prep?
my mood is such a red flag. I know as soon as my start to feel super frustrated with the people around me, I will get so angry and grumpy. I'm just hangry, you know, and it's just realizing when you're in those moments and going, I need to take a breath. It's the prep. It's not me. It's not that person. It's the prep. And then, you know, making sure that the people around you have that understanding as well is a big thing.
Yeah.
Like especially as a mum and prepping, I find that like I'll yell more, get grumpy, you know, a little bit easier, and then just having to really find that mental strength to be able to pull yourself up. Go, hold on, it's not my kid's fault. He's not prepping, he's not choosing this lifestyle am. So now I need to look at the situation, you know, whatever's upset me, and is this a valid, you know, thing? It's just pausing, taking a breath, and then understanding that. So the mood is probably the biggest thing for me, but obviously we've got physical stuff like sleep and stress and stuff like that. Managing stress during a prep. I have ADHD, so I'm just constantly wired and constantly stressed. So yeah, just mitigating all those things.
Yeah. Do you track any of those metrics like, your HRV and your heart rate and all those things
I
to manage your
used
stress, or is it
to
more how you're feeling?
used to track everything.
Yeah.
And I found that it was a lot. And the mental exhaustion from tracking all those tiny little things was too much for me. So I do track my heart rate and I do track my sleep and obviously like steps and all those kind of things. But I try not to over evaluate the data and mostly try to focus on how I feel. I used to look at, deep sleep, this and that, and I'm trying to improve my deep sleep. And that's great. And there are things you can do like blue light glasses, blue light blocking, things like red light therapy. There's heaps of things you can do to help improve your sleep. And it's good to know the data, but not to be obsessed over the data as well. Like, don't think I didn't get my 7 hour, 8 hours of sleep or whatever it is, so now I'm going to have a terrible day. And then because you're just setting yourself up to have a terrible day. When really, if I only got 7 hours instead of 8 hours, I'm probably not even really going to notice that. I'm still going
So
to push hard
true.
in the gym. But if I'm thinking about it like, oh, now I'm going to lift crap, or now I'm going to, feel more tired, or you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you look at it, right? Right? Like it can be so easy to get, 5 hours sleep or get a lower sleep score. And then you're like, my whole day is ruined. I'm going to have a shitty session. I'm not going to be able to, my brain's not going to work at work and all those things. So it's definitely just, I think, taking that data, like the scale weight as well, that's obviously going to fluctuate. So it's
Yeah,
just taking
exactly.
it as a piece of data rather than like solely relying on that one bit.
Yeah, yeah. No, especially scale weight. Like that's a huge thing. I used to let it get in my head and I would just literally I would cover up or not want to wear clothes or, have body image issues based on the scale that nobody else knows. They don't know what the scale read that morning. I look the same to them as I did yesterday, and let it get in my head a lot. And especially during prep because we see that scale trending downward. And then when it doesn't, it's like, oh my God, the world is ending. But, maybe you've got a cycle, or maybe you just haven't been to the toilet, or maybe you had a refeed, or whatever. There's so many reasons why that scale might be different. You could be holding more glycogen. You could have a little bit of inflammation from muscle soreness from pushing heavy in the gym the day before. So yeah, not taking that data too personally
Yeah,
is
so
a huge
true.
thing. Yeah.
And how do you deal with that mentally post show, like seeing the scale go back up?
It's been a process over the years. I think because I've been so many different weights in so many different phases of my life, I sort of have come to accept the scale and now we have a loving relationship, whereas we never used to. But yeah, I think I try to look in my off season. I still weigh myself every day, but I don't encourage that to people who find that's an issue. Like you said, if I'm able to separate that data from being data to like where I used to think, oh, that's my self worth. The scale dictated my self worth for the day. Whereas now I'm just like, it's a bit of data, like whatevs.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't bother me now. So now I can weigh myself every day, but I never used to feel that way. Yeah, just understanding that data is data, and at the end of the day, there's so many reasons why. But if we look at all the data as a collective, and we look at our photos, our measurements, photos are just amazing because that really shows that difference. When I see a photo of myself at a certain weight, and then another one a few years later, and I'm leaner at the same weight, or I've got more muscle, or better shape, or that just means so much more to me than even looking at the scale because that's like validation for that long-term process, especially when you're, say, for example, trying to grow a certain muscle group, or like you just want to see those glute ham tie-ins, and then when you got them and you're like, oh my God, I've got them at this weight, whereas before it took me to get to this weight to get them. Now I can see how much muscle I've grown since then, and now I kind of don't mind seeing the scale that little bit higher, or competing at a heavier body weight doesn't bother me because I'm like, that just means I've grown more muscle, which is the whole goal. Yeah.
So true. Like it's literally bodybuilding. You're
Yeah.
trying to build, you're trying to grow. So you have to get heavier at some point.
Yeah, exactly. It's not called body cutting. Well,
Yeah.
we do that too, but yeah, it's the whole point is to grow the muscle.
Yeah.
We don't train our glutes to make them smaller, do we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Long gone are the days of your thigh gaps, and
Let's hope that doesn't come back.
it'll never come back for me. Well,
Yeah,
I'm out if it does.
absolutely. So now that you're a mum, what would you say has shifted mentally and physically when returning to the stage after pregnancy?
Probably just that it can't be all about me anymore, that I need to prioritize someone else in my prep, which is hard because, and I feel for the mums out there with 3 or 4 kids. Like, I've got clients, and they've got 3 or 4 kids and they work a 9 to 5. And I'm like, girl, I don't know how you do that. Like, I have the most flexible lifestyle, and I love and appreciate my lifestyle so, so much. But I know most people don't have this lifestyle where I can just, do a podcast with you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I've got nothing else on, like not many people can do that, can train when they want and have that lifestyle. So I don't know how normal people get through a prep, let alone mums with 2 or 3 kids, doing school drop offs, and, it's hard. And just finding that time for yourself. Whereas, like I said, I do have very, very flexible lifestyle, but it's just making sure I'm showing up for my son. And like when I'm there with him, that I'm there with him. I'm not on my phone, or I'm not thinking about my next meal, or, whatever. I'm just switching off and being with him, and making sure that I'm prioritizing him. I think that's literally the only thing that's changed. I would also say that potentially there's more temptations in my house because when he was a baby, it was just like mashed broccoli and mashed pumpkin. And I was like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to eat that. But when there's chips and biscuits and, snacky food that like kids eat, and or they don't finish their dinner, and I'm like, I don't want to waste that. And you get that thought of I should just eat that chicken nugget. And so many of my mum clients that they find they are just eating all their kids' leftover food because they don't want to waste it. Because we grew up in a waste, not don't waste your food, eat everything on your plate kind of upbringing that, now we're like, oh, we don't want to waste that food. It's like, you didn't need it. You already ate your dinner, but that chicken nugget looked pretty good. So, but now I guess, yeah, it's just there is probably more temptation in the house than there was before. But, you still have a choice whether to eat it or not, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have any advice for mums who feel like their competing days are behind them?
Oh, they are not. My body is 10 times better than it was before I was competing. So, obviously, as a mum, we have got things that are different. And some people struggle with loose skin. I've got loose skin. I've got C-section scar. I mean, I had loose skin before anyway because I was overweight in the past. But I have a C-section scar that don't want to see on stage. But, the right bikini, a little altering, you can't see it. I know so many mums that compete. Like, honestly, a lot of women in fitness and figure are mums because we are in our 30s and 40s and 50s because it takes that little bit longer to build that muscle maturity. So we find that the girls competing in fitness and figure are often a little bit older. And a lot of us are mums. And you look at all the Miss Olympias, every single one of them is a parent. So there's definitely no, you can't put a blanket rule on that. Like I said, sometimes we have got other things that we're 22-year-olds don't have to deal with, like loose skin, cellulite, hormonal issues. But I guess that all just makes it more the worth. If I can stand on stage next to a 22-year-old and I can beat her, all the power to you. So yeah, I don't think it makes it the harder it is, I think the more rewarding it is as well. Also, I feel like you can use your kids as a little bit of motivation, a bit of driver. Like a lot of my clients, not necessarily competitive clients, but a lot of clients, they use their kids as motivation. I'm like, you want to be able to run around with your kids, you want to be able to pick them up, you want to be that active mum, you don't want to be that one on the couch, like, so I think being active and playing with your kids, taking them to a park, kicking a ball and just being able to do all those kind of things. And then as you get older, you start thinking about, now I want to be able to do that with my grandkids, now I want to be able to do that, with my nieces and nephews. And you don't want to be the one on the couch, you want to be the one running around the park, you want to be the fun auntie.
Yes, absolutely. That's such a good why, like for the bigger picture of things as well.
Yeah, for the bigger picture.
Yeah. So, speaking about the cost of competing, what would you say are some of the hidden costs that people don't really talk about?
I think there's so many costs to competing. And I think a lot of the time we just think like our coach, our bikini, our hair and makeup, and we think that's kind of it. But there's so much more that goes into it. Like, I wouldn't say costs are particularly hidden. Like, I think if you Google it, you can get a lot of that information. But I think a lot of people just don't really take into account how much it can cost competing. Like, if you're a big spender, like sometimes I spend a lot of money on comps. Probably shouldn't say how much because, my partner might watch this. But you can spend up to 15 grand on a show, and I've only ever competed in Australia. I haven't, and if you go overseas, you're looking at $20,000-$30,000 for a show. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. But you can mitigate some of that. You can bring those costs down, competing locally, sharing accommodation with other competitors. I'm a huge advocate for secondhand bikinis. A lot of people get nervous about buying a secondhand bikini thinking like it's not going to fit or, but it's so easy to get them tailored. And there are a lot of bikini people out there that do modifications and alterations, and they might jazz. I got a bikini. It was your bikini I wore on the comp closet.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely stunning. There was nothing wrong with it, but you've worn it before. And I was like, I want to jazz it up a bit, like, because I think, again, a lot of people don't want to wear something that's been worn before.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, A, no one's probably going to even remember that bikini was worn. And B, you can jazz them up. I actually went out, I tried to find it's in my cupboard and I couldn't get it out because I'm redoing my spare room, but I wanted to show you. So I'll send you some photos of it.
Yes.
My friend Amber from Pretty Pieces has redone it. She's added more glitter, more sparkle, gave it a bit of like my vibe to it. I didn't actually need it to be altered, but if you do need them altered, they're very easy to alter.
Yeah,
And they're made to alter, because what
absolutely.
happens in our competition prep is we get smaller. So when we take our measurements, they're often incorrect by the time we get to stage. So
Yeah,
bikinis are generally made so that it's easy to alter. And some even have clips and things that go in and out really easily, simple, you just do it yourself. But people, it's very easy to alter. So that's a huge cost that you can cut right down. Like a brand new bikini, minimum 2 grand
yeah,
now.
crazy these days.
It's crazy. It's just gone up and up and up. I mean, cost of living has gone up, so it's nothing against the bikini designers, but it's about for an FMG style bikini, it's about 2 grand to start, and that's not even adding in the couture wear at night. That's not even adding in things like factoring things like theme wear. For fitness and figure competitors, I've always made my own theme wear because of costs. I just don't feel like spending $5,000-10,000 on something that's not even going to give you any points towards your overall score. So although I love the theme wear round, I didn't want to spend the money on it. So I've always made my own, and I always buy a secondhand bikini to use in my theme wear. I bought one from the comp closet, a black one, and I've had that made into, I won't tell you what I've made it into, but it's made into a theme wear for my next show.
Yeah,
And again,
so
I just got a bikini designer to alter and tweak and add things, and has created a beautiful thing for me to wear for theme wear. And like I said, it doesn't go towards your score. So why would you spend so much money on it when you can? I think I paid like $200 for this other bikini. I got a $2,000 bikini for $200.
yeah,
You can't
absolutely.
argue with that, especially if you're going to do two different bikinis. I've done that as well, where I've done a morning show bikini and a night show bikini.
Yeah, or if you're doing back-to-back shows as well, like you don't want to be spending 3 grand on multiple bikinis. That's just
Exactly, yeah.
blows everything out of proportion. Like you could
You can
travel to
also
a
wear
whole
the
other
same
show.
bikini more
You
than
can.
once.
I've done that before as well.
Yeah, like I know people don't like doing that because they want photos of different ones. Swap them, girls. Talk to someone else. Be like, hey, do you want to like trade bikinis, or can I borrow your bikini? Or there's so many different options. You don't need to be buying brand new all the time. A lot of girls for their first show, like I get it. I did that for my first show. I got a brand new custom design one, and I loved it. I still have it, so I don't want to get rid of it. It's like my little, it's just sentimental, so I don't want to get rid of it. Um, but you can hire bikinis too. So I think that's a
Yeah,
huge cost. That's probably one of your biggest costs that you can cut right down very easily. Things like
yeah,
sharing accommodation, so finding other girls that are doing the same show, sharing accommodation, because accommodation is another huge cost, especially if your shows are, I live in Melbourne, so, and they don't do shows here. FMG doesn't, so I need to travel for the shows, and it's much easier if you've got a group of girls, and it's fun too. You get to like meet people and connect with people, and yeah, it's definitely fun to do that. And things like photo shoots and stuff like that, you can find amazing photographers. You can use the top people, like they're great, but if you want to capture all that and not have to spend the money, there's other photographers available. For about, I use Christina from Shared Moments. She has all her group shoots, and I think she charges around $280 or something like that. So
so
cheap,
good,
so
so
cheap.
good.
And
Yeah,
she does styling too. So she has a full wardrobe team of stylists that can come and do that. It's not sponsored. That's just a
yeah.
I
A
just
little
use her,
shout out.
and I love her, and she does amazing photography as well. But because she doesn't have like the huge following of some of those huge photographers, she doesn't charge that much. So it's a great opportunity for you to get those photos taken and not have to spend heaps and heaps of money. If you still
Yeah,
want to go with the other people, I mean, they're amazing too. I've done them all. Muscat, Taz, like I've done them all, and I love them. But again, if you don't want to have to spend so much money, and you can do your own photo shoots too. There's heaps of options.
yeah, absolutely. Like the photo shoots are so fun and they're worth doing at some stage. But if you're on a tight budget and it's like whether you're going to compete or not because you don't have 10 to 15 grand to spend, like you can compete for 3 to 5 grand if you compete locally and
Yeah.
budget everything. Like you don't have to do all the crazy bikinis, all the crazy theme wear, all the photo shoots. There's so many areas you can spend money on, like you said.
I think back when it was WBFF, there was a lot of pressure to use certain photographers. to stay in certain locations and to present as if you had so much money. But at the end of the day, we're all normal people with like normal wages, and dropping 30K in a show and is like, that's someone, some people only earn that, like that's crazy. But some of these competitors I see overseas with WBFF, they dropping 30, 40, 50 grand on shows is just crazy. But I mean, and at the end of the day, especially now, like I said, with FMG, it is more about the physique. You can get on stage with a crappy bikini and still do well because we're not judging that bikini. We're judging you, judging your physique. We're judging the work you put in. We're not judging the money that you spent. So I think now that it's the FMG has come about, it's more opportunity to be able to do more than one show. I'd rather spend less and do 2 or 3 shows than spend all this crazy for what, one weekend? I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
You could go on a big holiday for the same price. But that's another thing too, like with all the FMG shows all over the world, like tie it in with a holiday. If you have a location that you want to go to, plan the holiday around the show, and then you're not just spending the money to go over there for a show.
But even like the Bali and the Thailand shows, like it would cost you the same as it would if you competed here in Australia.
Yeah.
It's literally not going to be any different to do any of those shows, which is great that they have them in those locations, because it just, again, it gives you more opportunity. And then you take a week, travel around Bali, have fun, planning to go even though I'm not competing just for the fun
Yes.
of it, because like it's not going to cost that much. Bali is very cheap, very livable place, and even just getting hair and makeup and a photo shoot done in Bali, it's nothing. It's probably, we should add it up because I reckon it'd probably be cheaper to compete in Bali.
Potentially would be, yeah, and you'd get more out of it.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so now with FMG also, you can do your hair and makeup externally, whereas before it was only through the actual federation. So now you can choose, and you can get someone, you can get your friend if they've got a friend who's a makeup artist, or do, a deal. And like I said, if you've got a bunch of competitors, you can have a makeup artist come out to you, might charge a little bit less. There's lots of things that you can do with that as well. Whereas before it was really restricted to just the WBFF people, and they charge a lot of money. And I've only ever competed with WBFF. I actually haven't done FMG yet, and their makeup I had done with WBFF every single time was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But now it's different. FMG have a different group, and
Yeah,
all their
they're a really
makeup
good
looks
team.
amazing.
Yeah. The new Australian team is so good.
Chic or
So
chic or
good.
something like that. I
Yeah,
don't know how to say it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so
but
organized.
it looks really good. And I've had my competitors use them, and they've done amazing. And the hair too, whereas previously the hair was just like a girl standing there with a straightening iron, and they're like, and they had no skill set. They were just makeup artists with the straightening iron. Now the hair people were hair people, and they were doing they. One of my clients had like a quite a in-depth look that she wanted, and they nailed it. So like, really happy with
Amazing.
that. But again, if you want to reduce costs, you can get your own makeup done externally. You can do your own makeup. My first show, I was at uni. I had a secondhand bikini. I did my own hair and makeup. My first 2 shows, I did pay for their tan because I didn't want to like try and do my own, but definitely pay for their tan. Do not try and do it yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
But I did everything else myself because I was at uni. I literally had no money. I was coached by a guy at my gym who was doing it for free. Like I did everything I could to get on stage because I was part-time uni student. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm still able to compete, so you can make it work.
Yes, absolutely. There's always a way. And like if anyone has any questions around the cost of competing or ways that they might be able to save money in this specific scenario, like feel free to flick me a message. I'm happy to help brainstorm ideas and provide some suggestions too.
And don't you have a little a comp prep planner sheet?
Yeah, so I'll link the cost planner down below as well. I've got a free spreadsheet which has like
Yeah,
all
I've
the
used
costs
your
of
spreadsheet
competing.
before, like years ago.
Yeah,
And I still have it saved on my computer, and I send it to all my clients.
yeah,
Because it just, all those things that you just don't think about are on there.
yeah,
Your shoes, your posing, like everything that you just haven't really factored in. Maybe your shoes for media night, your shoes for, there's all these little things that you don't think about. The cost of getting your nails done, this and that, all adds
yeah.
up.
Your
Um,
jewelry, tickets for your family, and all those things.
yeah,
Yeah, it definitely
yeah,
adds
and
up.
it's all on
And
that little list.
Absolutely. Even like physio and massage and all those things that you have to get way more during a prep than in a build
Yeah.
phase, like that adds up too, especially when your health insurance runs out.
I admit, like in prep, I end up skimping on those things. And it's
Really?
something that I notice as a posing coach too, that it affects your posing.
Hmm.
Not being limber, not being able to move well, and just being like a little bit out of touch with your body, especially if you're a figure or a fitness competitor and we're doing things like opening your lats. Like, and if you're tight, you're not going to be able to do that, you know? In FMG, obviously, we're not really flexing super hard or anything like that, but in fitness and figure, we want to be able to pull the shape out. And even in other categories, you know, being able to tense your legs correctly and, you know, get your glutes in the right position, lower back flexibility, you know, for our rear poses in, you know, in bikini wellness, that if you're not flexible, you're not able to do that, you're not going to be able to nail your posing. And I see clients that come in and get regular treatments throughout their prep, and by the time they get to stage, they're nailing their posing. But and then I see other clients that haven't done that, and you can see the difference.
Yeah. You can feel it too when you get the treatments. I definitely didn't get much done in my first prep. And then my last few preps, it was like regular massage, dry needling, infrared saunas, and it just made all the difference for
It
posing
makes a lot
and
of difference to
training well too.
recovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got this video somewhere on my feed from years ago. It's a time lapse of me having my lower back worked on, and you can see in the video my glutes rising and opening up, and it's absolutely crazy. I'll send you the video.
Yes.
My glute, it looks like they're in an oven and it's like a bun and it's just growing because my back was pulling on my glutes, right? And it was flattening out the top of my glutes. And as he's working on, it's a time lapse of me having the massage and treatment done and dry needling and that. You can literally just see this two go.
Wow.
It's crazy. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that's how much I was limiting myself by not having those treatments done. I
Mm.
couldn't believe. I'll send you the video. You'll freak out.
Yes, definitely. I'll have to link it in this podcast so that people can see it because that is
This video was
absolutely
like that.
wild.
It's on Instagram. It's not that. It's not inappropriate. But yeah, it was crazy. So definitely invest in getting treatments done if you're even if you don't feel like you need them. Like honestly, the only reason why I saw this guy was because he offered me a free, like the physio place offered me free sessions to post about it during my prep. So that's why I went. I didn't actually go off my own accord. And then I was like, oh my God, this is making such a huge difference. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
something I would do.
I think that's a really good point as well, like sponsorships and collaborations as well. So I do social media management and coaching, and a lot of my clients are competitors and they're looking to reduce the cost of competing. So we will get them sponsorships or collaborations, like you mentioned, like, you know,
Yeah.
massage therapists and physios, dry people who do dry needling, you know, things like City Cave for massage and floats and saunas, just things that you can post about on your stories or like do a reel once a month and you get all of this recovery stuff for free and it drastically
Yeah.
reduces the cost of your prep, like you're
There's
saving
so
hundreds
much
and
that you can
hundreds.
do even if you don't have a huge following.
Yeah,
Like
you don't need a huge
I don't
following.
I don't have a huge following. Like I have a good following, but I don't have a huge following. Like I haven't got like a million followers or anything like that. But there's so much you can do, even UCG, so user generated content. So I do a lot of user generated content, which you don't even see on my Instagram because it's not posted on my page. It's posted on the other brands' pages.
Yeah.
And they just want real people. They don't want polished content. They want real people using their products. So they find people that they like the look of or the branding of, like not necessarily what you look like, but what you represent. So if you're a mum and it's a family based product, then or if you're into fitness and health and wellness, you might get supplement companies and stuff like that. But it makes a big difference. Subs are expensive.
Yeah.
Get a sponsorship. Get a brand deal.
Yes, and don't think that you can't if you don't have enough of a following, because if you've got even like a small following and it's the same target market as the brand has, like you're going to be so much more valuable to that brand than someone with tons of followers who are just complete randoms, like not in this specific niche.
Yeah, well, brands actually prefer what they call micro influencers, which is people with about 10K followers, because they actually relate better to their followers. Like, for example, if you follow Kim Kardashian, and I don't even know how many followers she's got, but I don't keep
A
up to
lot.
date with that shit. But if you follow Kim Kardashian, she talks about a product, you're like, I know that's an endorsement, and I just know that's a celebrity endorsement, right? But if you're talking to, you or me or somebody, we're real people, we come across as real people, and we only really the recommendation is like getting a recommendation from a friend. Like if your friend said, hey, you should use this creatine, it is so, so good, you're going to go, oh, maybe I'll use it. You're going to really believe your friend is intent behind what they're saying. Whereas, we don't believe the intent behind Kim Kardashian. No matter how much she might actually genuinely believe it's a good product, we're not going to believe her because she's so far away from where we are that it doesn't relate to you, right? Whereas people with that, around that sort of 10, 15K followers, they have a big enough audience to reach people, but it's not too big that they're outside of like a real person. So I think brands actually love that. Most brands will say, I'm sponsored by Rule One, little plug, but they in our Rule One group, I'm the one. Well, actually, I probably have the second most amount of followers as everyone, all the influencers in the group. Most of them are around that 5 to 10K mark, and we get paid by Rule One. We get products from Rule One, and we don't have any, like you have to post, you have to do. They just do it organically. Just love the products and talk about the products organically, and you can get deals like that. Sometimes you just have to ask. I literally asked Rule One. I was like, hey, send them an email. Hey, I love your products. I've been using your products for years. Sponsor me. And they were like, hell, okay. Sometimes you just got to
Yes.
ask for stuff.
Absolutely. It's not being afraid to reach out and also not being afraid to tell the brand like what you can give them if you're wanting to create user generated content for them, or if you're happy to post on your stories or whatever it is that you're happy to do, like telling the brand what's in it for them as well and proving that you actually use and love the product.
Yeah. And do you help girls get those deals you said before?
Yes, I do. Yeah. So
Yeah,
what
awesome.
we usually do is I'll get my girls to create basically a spreadsheet or like a big brainstorm. So I'll get them to list all the things that they spend money on for competing, or all the things just in their general day-to-day life or fitness journey. So they might be like supplements, activewear, massage, physio, like all these things. And then we'll list, 2 to 3 brands that they either use and love or they would love to work with. And then we come up with a strategy to start engaging with those brands and start actually reaching out to those brands as well after we've been engaging with them for a while. So it's a strategy that works really well, but you do have to be directly reaching out to these brands. It's pretty rare that they'll reach out to you directly with a good offer. Like there's lots of random brands out there doing it, but usually the offer isn't that good. So you've got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, if I open up my message request folder, there'll be 1,000 different activewear brands, and obviously sometimes I will like accept brand gifts and things like that, but I'm always honest about my review. Or if I'm not happy with the product, I will say to them, it's your choice. If you want me to post, I'll post, but it'll be an honest review. And then they'll say, it's okay, you don't have to post. If it's not an honest, like if they're not happy with the review.
Yeah.
But I think like staying true to your belief system when it comes to influencing or being a brand ambassador for people as well, and making sure that you are recommending products that you genuinely use, that you love. But I think getting brand deals here, you just have to be direct. But sometimes too, like people feel like that imposter syndrome, like maybe they don't know what to say and stuff like that. So I think maybe getting someone like yourself to help write those emails or help with that whole strategy plan, like say,
Yeah.
okay, we really want to get right away. All right, what are we going to do? We're going to XYZ tag, buy their stuff, make sure that you're been doing this. And then the goal maybe 6 months down the track would be to get a response from right away.
Yeah, exactly. It
Something
is a
like that.
strategy with kind of steps to the approach. Like you're not just sitting there waiting for brands to come into your inbox.
No, it's very rare.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had to reach out to Rule One, and I also had connections that were already in the Rule One space, which is why I was received so quickly from them. But they are my biggest sponsor. But I mean, I'm by no means a big in the space. But they are my biggest sponsors in that I get the most out of them. But I also give the most to that brand because I genuinely love it. And like I said, I think people can read between the lines if you
Yeah.
don't really love something, if you're only just wearing that particular outfit for this certain post, and they can see it in your stories. They know whether you really do love the brands or not. But also just like doing collabs and working with other people as well, and finding more networking and stuff in the space. I started posing with Nat Kitney. She was my first ever posing coach. I called her up like 2 days out from a comp. I'd changed divisions and last minute, and I didn't know the posing. And I got my first coat of tan the day before, and I went into her studio and she taught me how to pose for a whole new division in one 45-minute session. And I got on
Wow.
stage the next day and I came second. And I was like, I need to spend more time with this posing coach. I need to pick her brain. I need to know her. She needs to be my friend. I need to be with this person forever, you know? And I posed with her. I paid her for posing for many, many years. Then she offered me a sponsorship after, you know, and I post about her through all my preps. I talk about her, recommend her to everyone because she genuinely is the best. And then she sponsored me, and then I was sponsored for a year before she offered me a position at her studio where she taught me how to teach other people. So it's like that
Amazing.
long-term relationship with
Yeah.
brands or with other people in the space and other networking. I guess that's also what I love about competing is that networking and meeting people and, you know, being in the space and that kind of thing. So
Yes, absolutely. So, final question for you. For anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps, what's one thing they need to hear today?
not to follow in my footsteps, but to make your own path. I remember one thing that my partner said to me when we first started dating. I was showing him a photo of Vivi Winkler, and I was like, "Oh, I look like this girl. Look at her glutes. Like, it looks amazing." And he goes, "Why would you want to look like anyone else?" He's like, "Wouldn't you just want to be the best version of you?" And I'm like, "I need to marry this guy." Because that's what you need to be, the best version of you, and not you can be inspired by other people, you can be motivated by other people, but at the end of the day you're still going to be you. So you need to be the best version of you, and if that means competing, training, taking time off, taking a step back. I've just taken 2 years off so I can come back and better, you know, and just being a little bit more humble about that, not having to go, oh, I need to do a comp, need to do a comp, need to do a comp. Stage is always going to be there, you know.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
so true. That's such wise words as well. I love that. Thank you so much for your time today and for coming on the podcast. I think this will be so valuable for anyone listening to this. So thank you so much. And I can't wait to see when you compete next and see all of your
Thank
bikini and lehenga
you.
creations.
Thank you for having me. Yes, you're gonna love my theme wear. I'll tell you about it after this.
Yeah, we'll stop recording and then
It's
we
our
can have
secret.
a secret talk. And thank you so much to our listeners as well. If you could rate this podcast and follow on whatever platform you're listening on, it really does help us to grow and get on more incredible guests like Sophie.